Hello again, my name's Gabe Zollner. You know, there's videos on the web that say that the fires were started by SWAT teams in Ferguson, Missouri. And then there's videos on the web that say that's not true. Now, what do we know is true? Well, we know that the Governor Jay Nixon had mobilized the National Guard a week before the verdict was to come out. And we also know that the National Guard was within 10 or 15 miles of the epicenter as to where those fires all took place. That's what we know. We also know that the mayor of Ferguson had tried desperately to get in contact with the governor so he could deploy the National Guard to protect the businesses in Ferguson. And we know that didn't happen. Now, if in fact the videos that we saw of those SWAT members protecting that automotive store, why did it burn down? They were right there. We saw them with weapons. We saw them dressed in battle gear. So why was that automotive store allowed to burn down? And again, I'm not saying that they did it, but why did they stop protecting it when they were there? The other thing that we know is that the National Guard was not deployed, which resulted in the destruction of 18 buildings. And now we've got a number of folks that used to be employed have nowhere to go because the offices and the buildings that they worked in have been destroyed. The owners that owned those properties are also out of business, and many of them were black. And there's a story that I spoke about as well, where 3 or 4 black men protected the business of a white man. They worked for that business. And they respected the white man because they say he respected them. So who's responsible for the destruction of all that property? Well, if we had a true justice system, Lewis Head and his wife, Leslie McSpadden Gordon, would have been arrested. And they'd be sitting in jail, or rather they would have bailed themselves out to face trial. The comments that they made right after the verdict was announced, which was, "Burn the bitch down, burn the bitch down, burn the bitch down," incited a lot of rioters. And I think a lot of the people that were there causing this mayhem weren't Ferguson residents. They were brought in from other states, out of town. So, the bottom line is, the governor of Missouri, Governor Jay Nixon, I think needs to resign. He needs to be held accountable for not having protected the property of the citizens of Ferguson. I'd also like to know, as I said earlier, why that automotive business was destroyed when we saw the SWAT team surrounding it prior to its destruction. What did they do? Did they go home for the rest of the evening? I don't know. People need to be held accountable, and they haven't been. That's what I think. So what do you think?